All right. So I'm curious how you planned your tutorials.
Yeah, it's probably pretty interesting. It takes a long time. It really does. But even that is fun because you're building something. So like what I often do is I will think about something I want to do. So it might be like, oh, this lesson's about how to make sparks, which is a lesson. Sparks and lightning. So I think about it, it's like, so I know how to do sparks and lightning. I know that I know key industry things that are never talked about outside of the industry.
Mhm.
Stuff like crazy motion blur, tricks to like make motion blur look good and be cheap and stuff. So it's something like that. So it's like I know where I am and I know where I want to get to. So I want to teach those things. But then it's like, now how do I make it compelling? How do I make it interesting? Because you could just be dry and dump a whole bunch of like, well, this is what I would do. But
Mhm.
if for no other reason that you want to get people interested in your lesson and stick with it to the end, you want it to be cool. So I guess in the case of my lesson, it's like here's like an electronic source and it's shooting out electricity and there's sparks flying, but then there's also like kind of a mirrored ground, so it's kind of like amplifying it, and then the camera spit, so it's like, oh, now it's like this could be something from an action movie, or I don't know, something like that. So that process is often me just thinking for a very long time
Mhm.
about what that might look like. In the lesson, it's kind of tossed off casually, like, let's try this, let's just do this, because by the time you get to it, it's so like old hat, because you've been thinking about it for far too long.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I'll often just think about it.
I see.
I'll think on the
You
bus.
said it takes a long time. How long does it take for you?
That's a great question too. I would say weeks.
Okay.
Weeks probably. I mean, when I'm bored at work, I'll think about it. Yeah, totally. Like, because I'll keep thinking about like the details of like, should there be three balls that get electrocuted? Should there be the mirror? And eventually, and then I'll start. So then the second phase is now I'll start to do it. I'll start to make it as like it's very rough. So I'll make, and again, this is for my lessons because I am building effects work. It's in Houdini.
Mhm.
Uh, for those of you just joining us, so it is a step-by-step thing, so I can go crazy with it. I can try things, they don't work. I'll often try things. This part takes even longer.
Mm.
This will take me weeks again of not 8 hours a day, but maybe an hour every night.
Okay.
you know I'll be specking out this tutorial. I'll be trying to make it cool. And it's funny you mentioned talking to your spouse or loved ones
Mhm.
to keep you on track. I asked my girlfriend, like, is this interesting? Like, she's not an effects artist, she
Mm.
has no stake in it, but man, if I can appeal to her with like what she's seeing, great. Can only imagine that people that actually want to make this thing will think.
Yeah, that's a great
So
point. That's a great.
yeah, so I'll show her, and it'll be like with the newest lesson with the pedals. Like, she had great advice about how to make it like maybe if there's just too much of a, like, there's too much going on. Like, can you like maybe make the colors stand apart more? And I'm like, yeah, good point. Between you and me, I give her 1% of the profits now as a
Oh.
little incentive, and it works. It's great. So now I got an extra pair of eyes on
All right, I'll put it in the deck. 1%
it.
takes
Absolutely.
about.
Yeah, so finally I developed the actual scene, and then my favorite part, I don't know if this is just me, but my favorite part is then, and you alluded to this, is stripping away, removing the stuff that is superfluous, that is not the focus, that is, and I'm not even talking about the recording of it,
Mhm.
but just stripping away all the things that I want to make it consolidated as possible, because I want the lesson to not take forever.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
So I strip it away and I refine it and refine it and refine it. And even if that means that it doesn't include some of the nice little nuanced things that maybe I do actually would want to do, for the
Mhm.
sake of the lesson not being 100 hours long,
Yeah.
I'll strip it down to be tight and streamlined.
Mhm.
only then that I have the thing that I want to make is the final product. Now I build the outline from that. That's
Ah,
me, and that might be a little different than if you're doing a rigging tutorial.
mhm.
Uh, Now, with this final product in mind, I will organize my thoughts of now how will I attack building this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's when you get those categories, and that's when you get sometimes that, you know, well, we try this first, but why isn't that the best way? And then we try this, and oh, that's the best way. We'll do that. Then I have my outline. Now, I think that I transferred everything that I did into my outline. I may not have. I will then rebuild it from the outline.
Okay.
I will regenerate what I have done from the outline and go through it. And every single time, it's like, oh, forgot to include that. Or, oh, I didn't really explain well why I'm doing that.
Mhm.
And so, like you said, now I can change the outline before I record it and not be like, oh, God, I forgot to mention that,
That's
you
right.
know. So now the outline has been the benefit of being derived from a great product, has been rebuilt from it. And now I am sure
Mhm.
that when I record it, I know I'll be able to recreate exactly what I want to do. And I know that it will explain exactly what I want it to explain.
That's cool.
So it's perfect. And
Yeah, that's
then,
awesome.
yeah, and then that's it. And then I rarely have to make, I mean, I'll still have to make some corrections, but there's just a few. And again, like you said, keep them short so that you can re-record them. And I certainly, even with all that preparation, have to re-record things.
Mhm.
But it's fine. And it gets better every time I re-record it anyway. And by the time I'm done, I will feel either good or bad about how it all went. And sometimes I'll go back and re-record things again.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
That's cool. So the one question is,
Yeah.
when you record, it's not necessarily about planning, but I'm curious. Do you like one of the biggest benefits that I have about creating content is that I actually end up learning a lot of things,
Oh yeah.
right? Do you have the same?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Part of what you will find is, as people that are in the industry, a lot of times you're using tools that maybe your company has
Hmm.
or something, and you can't recreate those for legal reasons and for a variety of other reasons. So what you end up doing is you end up learning how to do it with, let's say, the vanilla
Hmm.
stuff that comes out of the box. Houdini is very powerful, but you can always build tools on top of it. I mean, that's what you're always doing. So
Hmm.
when I'm conveying something to a student for the first time, they don't have the benefit of all these tools that like years of people built. So I am conveying something to them, to somebody that doesn't have all that.
Hmm.
So I have to basically almost relearn myself. Like I have to build this thing that I'm used to just having,
Hmm. Hmm.
and you learn so much along the way. And especially if I'm trying to plus out the video in general, like the effect that I'm trying to convey, it's like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if it did that too? I wonder how I would do that. I bet I'd do it this way. Oh, it is that way. Now I can tell people the thing that I just learned.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Even if the core concepts were stuff that I probably came to the table with already,
Hmm.
yeah, there's still so much extra. And it's a way to almost organize your thoughts. Maybe when you were doing it
Hmm.
at work or for your regular stuff, you did it and it was good, but maybe you even could have done it better then. So now that you're just doing it again,
Yeah.
you're finding a better way to do it anyway. So it's like the best version of what you could be teaching.
Yeah, totally. Like, and there's so many times where I'm using like a certain option, like I guess at work, I know I click this button because I know it does this and I'm able to do this.
Yeah.
But then when I think about it, it's like, but what does actually happen in the background? Like what actually happens in Maya when I click that button?
Sure.
And when I teach, I kind of want to explain that. So
Yeah.
I go and research it and then it goes, that's very interesting. And so I share it.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Totally.
that's great. Cool. So the next step is about production.